Go ahead and start our zoning meeting this evening. Welcome to the Colerain zoning meeting. It's at 6 o'clock on the clock behind us, so we'll go ahead and get started. If you would, please silence your cell phones so that we're not disrupted this evening. If you do have comments, please come to the podium. That way your comments can be recorded and we can all, as a group, understand and hear those. So with that, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. Okay, Mr. Peters, roll call, please.
Mr. Bachman.
Yes.
Mr. Gehring. Mr. Westfall.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Ms. McMullen.
Okay, so we have 2 vacancies and we have our 2 alternates in the audience. So, Mr. Peters, if you want to.
Correct. Mr. Hauser, Ms. Goggle, if you could approach the bench, please.
Welcome, fellow alternates. If you all could put your ID tags in front so everyone knows who you are, that'd be very great. Okay, moving forward. Let's see. Minutes for August 20th.
Those will be continued to the next month.
Okay, and those will actually be continued to our next meeting, which will be December, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we have now moved to the public address portion of the meeting. If you're here to discuss anything with the Wild Water Car Wash or the Kroger Marketplace or the Meyer Project at Stone Creek, please, we'll get to you at the appropriate time. Anything else, though, that you'd want to talk to the commission about? The floor is now yours, and the podium is now yours. Seeing none, we will close that portion of the meeting. So let's go ahead and then get to our agenda, which our first item is a final development plan. This is CZC 24-11. This is the Wild Water Car Wash and staff presentation.
I do. Our first case tonight is CZC-24-11. This is at 8640 Colerain Avenue. It's a final development plan. The parcel's listed on the screen and in your packet. This is a planned district, and the applicant is McGill Smith Punchin, and the property owner is DWSB LLC. Prior to the application for final development plan, the applicant has a preliminary development plan that was approved through the Colerain Township Zoning Commission and the Colerain Township Board of Trustees. The following conditions were placed upon the development: that facade massing shall be required along both the north and south sides of the new structure. Both facades shall incorporate 1 or more of the following every 40 feet of each facade: a wall offset at least 2 feet in depth, each with a width of at least 20 feet, or significant material changes or significant architectural design features. Number 2, the ground-mounted sign shall be a monument sign with no reference to any specific car brand. The ground-mounted monument sign shall be no taller than 8 feet with a stone or masonry base. The base shall be landscaped with a 5-foot landscape radius surrounding the sign. Number 3 was a relocation of a trash enclosure for the car wash to be at least 25 feet from all property lines. And finally, number 4 was no reference to specific automotive brands, including Nissan, should be placed upon the site. This was in honor of a small used car dealership that was located between the car wash and the Nissan dealership that now has closed or moved across the street. Following the approval, the site was reconfigured and several changes have been proposed as part of the final development plan. Those changes are: the building footprint has increased from 30 by 125 to 33 by 135. Number 2, the updated footprint expands the car wash building 10 feet eastward. And number 3, the distance between the car wash building and entry point and the pay stations is compressed by 10 feet. That would normally be a minor or major modification, but that is to a final development plan. Since we don't have an adopted final development plan, those changes would be part of the final development plan process. This is one rendering of the building. and another rendering from a different angle. These are included in the packet along with this site map. This is the aerial of that same site map. I'll never be able to line it up that good again, so enjoy it. Showing you the parking lot on the site, and then this 8640 down here is where the proposed car wash is going to be. This building will be demolished and the parking lot reconfigured. Just a little bit of history about what this site looked like over the years. So this is a Suzuki dealership, abandoned building, empty lot, and then we have that car wash back here. So it's kind of the next step in what is the history of what's on that corner. So staff finds that the final development plan for Wild Water Car Wash substantially complies with the spirit and intent of the Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan and the requirements of the Colerain Township zoning resolution, and therefore staff recommendation is approval of this case. Mr. Bachman?
Thank you. Any questions of the commission before I ask the applicant to make their presentation? Okay, I see no comments from the commission, so gentlemen, I think you're here on behalf of this case, so if you would like to approach the podium, introduce your team and yourself, and we'll go from there.
My name is Tim Burke from the Manley Burke Law Firm, here on behalf of the Weiler interests who own all of this property and are doing this development. With me tonight, who you've heard from before, is Jim Watson, who is the project engineer, and our architect, Andrew Wolf, who is also here. I think the staff has summarized the project perfectly, and our folks can answer any questions that you may have. The major change, obviously, that has occurred since we were here in July is that the Weiler interest purchased the small used car sales facility that was in the middle of the site. And that's one of the reasons why we've been able to redesign this project a little bit to make it more efficiently operate. And our architect and our engineer can explain that in more detail if you have questions about that.
Just to clarify for the commission, that the actual words future parking, that parcel that surrounds that, that was where the facility was that Weiler acquired.
Correct.
Okay.
Jim?
Good evening.
Mr. Watson, I know we don't swear your attorney in, but we would swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Good evening. Thanks for having us today. The building footprint is expanded 3 feet. That dimension is moved 3 feet to the north. And what enables us to do this is the fact that Weiler obtained the property adjoining us. Prior to that time, we had the building at 33 feet, which was like a bare minimum to make everything work. To have it barely enough room for all the mechanical appurtenances that would be inside the building. And I mean, it was tight and maintenance would be difficult, but we could do it. It was all the space we had available. Once you take the 15-foot streetscape, the drive aisle, the angled parking that you see on the south side of the building, a little bit of a sidewalk in between, and about 5 feet on the north side of the building in order to work in, what you're left with is 30 feet. And so we determined, well, we can do it with 30 feet. If we had more than 30 feet, that would be great, but we don't. So that's why we brought to you a plan in July, or you reviewed it in July, for a 30-foot width. And then once Weiler obtained that adjoining property to the north, that gave us a little bit of air to where the additional 3 feet, we can space the equipment a little further apart, and it's going to make maintenance easier to deal with. So in the long term, it's going to be a benefit to the operation of the car wash. The other thing that we've done is we slid the building 10 feet to the east. Or, no, I'm sorry, we expanded it 10 feet to the east. We didn't slide the whole building. We moved the 10, we got 10 feet onto the east. It did not push the pay stations or any of the layout further to the adjacent property to the east. We didn't move any of that. We just compressed the area between the pay stations and the buildings. And what that additional 10 feet enables us to do is to get a little more separation between the various operations inside the car wash. And what that enables is it's better functionality. The wash will be at higher quality by having more distance between the various functions, between the sprayers and the scrubbers and the blowers and wax and whatnot. And the company with whom we're working with and who's advising us on how to set this thing up, they pointed out that if we could get a couple of feet, it would be beneficial, and it would just make a higher quality operation. So that's why we extended the building, making it 10 feet longer. Your elevation plans, or the renderings that you see there in the elevations, those are other than the length and width of the building, they're the same as what the trustees reviewed. They're not the same as what you reviewed because the changes we made were in response to what you reviewed in July, where there was discussion about introducing architectural elements along the building facade. What we had originally proposed was pretty much a solid wall. And now we've got a wainscot, we've got some vertical features that break up the mass of the building, and that's what you'll see on the renderings that's in your packet. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
I got two questions for you, if I may. One, the parcel that is zoned, that is on this fixture, it says future parking, is that being rezoned? It's B2 right now.
It is not. We have not proposed to rezone that. The B2 is consistent with auto sales and service use.
Understand, but usually when we approve something like this, the whole parcel, like right now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different parcels.
We've got more than that. But what we're showing there on the parcel to the north, it's basically there for informational purposes. It's not a part of this rezoning application or this final development plan. Final development plan is limited to that boundary that separates the car wash from the future parking to the north.
Okay. And then also you have a curb cut that cuts in, it looks like, where did it show that curb cut? That curb cut's gonna be removed. It doesn't show the one that's existing, but that is gonna be removed and moved all the way to the east.
That's correct. The curb cut to the east, that's existing as well. So
Okay.
we'll utilize that existing curb cut, but I know the one that you're talking about that's probably about midway between the one we're going to use in Colerain, that goes away. We'll remove that. There's actually was a curb cut out at Colerain as well, right there at the intersection almost, and that's been removed. That's already gone. And that one you're referencing, it's gone as well. The removal of that is indicated probably on either the second or third sheet of the final development plan set with the existing conditions plan.
Mm-hmm.
We call it out as to be removed.
I know I saw it in there somewhere, but okay.
Any other questions from the commission? None? Just one from the chair and Mr. Peters, the question's to you. When we reviewed this in July, we were right in the process of looking and updating the zoning code and all the provisions for signage and provisions for massing and scale. And now that that's kind of in a rearview mirror and you have this proposal in front of us, your thoughts on, does this meet the spirit of that code or the intent of those changes that we made?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I asked the applicant to update something that would meet the code that we were writing, such as the sign, the 8-foot monument sign with the base, those rules come from our new zoning code. So we didn't want a remnant of our old code in the zoning commission. I see where we might have been stuck with that in the BZA. But in the zoning commission, we have a little bit more influence over what gets designed, and I think the final product reflects almost to a T what we have with the spirit and intent behind our new zoning resolution.
Okay. Any further questions from the commission? Any further comments from your team? Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve case CZC 2411 with no conditions.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Ms. Peters, roll call.
Ms. Goggle. Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Westfall. Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Bachman.
Yes.
We'll be in touch.
Good evening. Okay, that takes us to item 7 on our agenda, which is public hearings. Do we want to go ahead and swear in our speakers at this point?
Oh, sure. If you plan to speak tonight, please stand, raise it.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. So I don't mean anything. Sorry.
Do we still stand and do the hand thing?
Sure.
Do you swear to tell the truth? Okay. Affirm. Okay, yes. New to me.
Okay. All right, so let's see. We've got our speakers sworn in. We'll go ahead and open our hearing then.
Sure. Okay, case 2 tonight is CZC-24-9. The address is 3636 Springdale Road. This is a minor modification. The parcel number is in your packet and listed on the screen. This is in Plan District for Atlantic Sign Company on behalf of Kroger Limited Partnership.
Okay, so maybe I think officially, should we have a roll call to open the public hearing? Do you need that?
Oh, in BZA, we typically do it after after the staff presents the case, but we can do it now.
Let's just do it now.
Okay.
That's all.
Ms. Goggle. Mr. Hauser. Yes. Mr. Westfall. Yes. Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Bachman.
Yes. So now we have an official public
perfect.
meeting. It's opened, and you go ahead now with the staff
Do
presentation.
we make a roll call to close it at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. The applicant, Atlantic Sign Company, proposed a minor amendment to the Planned Development District located at 3636 Springdale Road, commonly known as Kroger. This amendment will allow for a greater wall signage area than was originally approved in the final development plan. The final development plan in this case was approved in 2014 under case number CZC 14-7, Kroger Marketplace. The current signage on the building reflects an older logo that is no longer used by Kroger. The company has, for the past several months, been updating all their locations in the region to reflect the new logo. Current signage upon the building totals 380.5 square feet, which is 253.7% of what would be allowed on the site if it were single letter zoned. The new proposal totals 459.5 square feet, which increases the current signage footprint by additional 20%. A comprehensive update to the Township zoning resolution was approved by the Township Board of Trustees on September 10th, 2024, and was subsequently adopted on October 10th, 2024. However, the applicant in this case applied for the minor amendment prior to October 10th, 2024, so the decisions in this case should reflect the former zoning resolution text. The allowable size of the wall sign in most business zones is based on the width of the frontage, at a ratio of 1 square foot of sign area for every foot of building width, with a maximum of 150 square feet. Given that Kroger has significant frontage, they easily meet this. And as I stated before, they exceed it at 380.5. This is permissible due to it being a planned development and the regulations that empower the zoning commission in 2014 to allow such signage. This case is proposing 459.5 square feet, which wouldn't raise the intensity on a site that already has a uniquely large signage footprint. So the dot shows where Kroger Marketplace is. I think this is a pretty familiar location, right at the crossroads of the most, probably the busiest intersection in the township. These are the current signs that are on the building, and this is what's being proposed. It doesn't look like a lot. It does get wider in area, and they're adding that cart. All the signs on the building are being proposed to change, But this is the one where the square footage kind of increases the most. I would argue that most of the other ones are kind of a one-for-one change. There's one I'll get to that's a little bit excessive in a second. But these are some examples of signs that are on there now. And this is the monument sign. As stated a moment ago, the change is pretty much a one-for-one. At least it appears that way to the naked eye. This sign, though, is a little bit much. We're looking at 63 square feet, which is the size of a sign that a lot of businesses in the township have, period. I still recommend approval on it, as you'll see in a moment. But just showing that there is an increase of signage outside of just that main sign. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions. The condition being the building is painted or otherwise properly prepared following the removal of the current signage and prior to the installation of new signage. And I'll show you why. This is the Kroger nearest my home in Huber Heights, Ohio. I've always called it a label scar underneath, but it's when you take one sign off and the sun faded the paint around it or there's dirt behind it. This has been this way for months. So it looks very bad. People mock it incessantly online. And it's not only on this main sign, but it's behind the Starbucks sign, it's behind the bank sign. So I thought it might have been a fluke until I saw this one in Lebanon, Ohio. So these are ones just in our backyard in Ohio that you can clearly see where the sign used to be. It's not a good look, and it's not something we should approve if we don't have to, and we don't have to. So I would make it a requirement that whoever puts the sign up ensures that the old sign is not visible, no label scars visible, whether that's painting, power washing, or whatever you have to do, and that it would in fact be a zoning violation if it were visible. Mr. Bachman?
Okay, let's go ahead and, first of all, any questions of staff before we go to the applicant? Okay, sir, the podium's yours. If you'd like to come up, that'd be you.
Good evening.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is Alex Barnett. I'm the permit manager for Atlantic Sign Company. My address is 2328 Florence Avenue, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45206.
Thank you.
Mr. Peters did a great job summing that up. It is, in essence, a brand update. Kroger has been, and we have particularly partnering with Kroger, been updating their branding throughout the tri-state. So it is good to know that we are not taking care of those signs after the fact, and I need to get somebody on that right away. But we would most certainly be open to the condition of painting the wall. I believe that's usually quoted with us, so I'll make sure that happens and be willing to sign anything or agree to that for approval.
Could you speak to the sign that Mr. Peters spoke about that he had a little heartburn on, and that's this pickup sign here? I'm a little confused where it is on the building with the elevation. Could you kind of walk us through maybe where that might be?
Yes. So this one has a separate site plan because Kroger had originally come to us with two separate projects for this, but for the sake of zoning, I think it was easier to combine them. But it's going to be on the front left of the building.
Last page. Yeah, I don't think so.
The third to last page should give you a site plan with that sign pointed out.
Let me get there. Oh, okay. I have a whole page of which only 1/4 of the page was used for the site plan, so give us some time here.
I have the building on the screen if you want to show. Maybe you just point to it, Alex.
Yeah.
Would it be in that middle section?
Yes. So it's going to be, you can't really see where the blue Rhino tanks are, but I believe it's going to be to the right of those.
So the pickup is not pharmacy. The pickup is the grocery pickup.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and that was one of the reasons for proposal is because we have seen customers get confused, especially some of the elderly customers are, you're a mom trying to get your kids medicine. You can make those quick decisions and then get more frustrated. And So differentiating those two and where to go, I think, is very helpful to the customers. And that is all I have for this, unless you guys have any other questions for me.
We'll find out. Any other questions of the commission? The applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Comments from the commission to either staff or amongst ourselves? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion. I guess, wait a minute, we need to close the public hearing. Let's go ahead and close that. So I'm
Okay.
sorry for the, so roll call to close the public hearing, please.
Ms. Coggle, Mr. Hauser,
Yes.
Mr. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Bachman.
Yes. Okay, sorry about that. So we are at the point where I've asked for a motion.
I'll go ahead and motion to accept the proposal and plans CZC 14-7, Kroger's Marketplace.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second, we'll have a roll call vote for the vote.
Just to be clear, does this include the condition that was suggested?
Yes, to include that painting,
Scar,
yeah.
the label scar, thank you, removal of the
Sorry.
label scar.
Ms. Coggle, Mr. Hauser,
Yes.
Mr. Westfall,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Bachman.
Yes.
So our next case today is case 3, CZC-2410. This is also through Atlantic Sign Company. The address is 3711 Stone Creek Boulevard. It's a minor modification as well in a planned district. The parcel number is listed on your screen and in your packet, and this is for Meyer Limited Partnership. Stunningly similar, the applicant, Atlantic Sign Company, proposes a minor amendment to the planned development district located at 3711 Stone Creek Boulevard, commonly known as Meyer. This amendment will allow for greater wall signage area than was originally approved by the final development plan. The final development plan in this case was approved in 2005 under case number CZC-05-3, Stone Creek Town Center. Most of the current signage upon the building is being proposed to remain as is, but Meyer would like to add signage above the two main entrances of the store. If approved, one sign will read Home and the other sign will read Fresh. The Home sign will be 72.5 square feet and the Fresh sign will be 66 square feet. The increase in wall signage from what's currently existing upon the site is roughly 8 to 10%. A comprehensive update to the Township zoning resolution was approved by the Township Board of Trustees on September 10th, 2024, and was subsequently adopted on October 10th, 2024. However, the applicant in this case applied for a minor amendment prior to October 10th, 2024, so the decisions in this case should reflect the former zoning resolution text. The allowable size of a wall sign in most business districts is based upon the width of a frontage at a ratio of 1 square foot of sign area to every foot of building width, with a maximum of 150 square foot. But Meyer has much more than that. They have around 1,700. They have more than anyone in the entire township. This is permissible due to the plan development regulations that empowered the zoning commission in 2005 to allow such signage. This case is proposing 138 additional square feet, which would raise the intensity of the site that already has a uniquely large signage footprint. Excuse me. This is a picture that was taken today by Ms. Klein of Meyer. So you can see the windows above each entrance. That would be where Home is and where Fresh is. Every other sign would remain as is. These signs would be lighted, so light would project outward toward the parking lot of these signs. It wouldn't affect the neighborhood on Yellowstone behind it, as many of us have been concerned that it would. It would shine directly forward. The one on the left would read Home, and it would be on the left side of the store. It would be a little bit larger. The one on the right would read Fresh on the right side of the store. And together they'd be about 130 square feet, something like that. So this is to show you how the letters are attached to the window. I initially asked the applicant, why do we have to do Raceway, which is those bars you see underneath the letters. And he explained that it would be pretty hard with the weight of these letters and with the fact that they're illuminated to attach them to glass without doing a raceway. I don't love the raceway. I've seen it at other Myers where they've done this. We would be one of the last ones to do it, if approved, and every one of them has had to use that unfortunate raceway mechanism to connect to that glass. So this is a pretty good representation of what they would look like. The Meyer is part of Stone Creek. It's on this map. And the staff recommendation is approval with conditions. That any inaccurate signage that advertises the store is open 24 hours be removed and replaced with new cabinet face that without the 24 hours or with a 24-hour portion being covered up by paint, tape, or other similar method. It's been about 5 years since Meijer has been open 24 hours. I'm not aware of any Meijer that is open 24 hours again, nor am I aware of any plans to bring our Meijer back to 24 hours. So I fear people getting off the highway at night maybe create an unsafe situation for a store that isn't even open by reading that 24-hour sign. So the recommendation would be that they fix the inaccurate sign before we allow them to expand and have new signs. Mr. Bachman?
Before we move on, let's go ahead then and open the public hearing portion of this. So roll call, please.
Ms. Coggle? Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes. Okay, so we have a staff presentation, and maybe before we ask Mr. Peters any questions, we'll have the applicant come to the podium. Sir, you've been sworn in, so you're the sign rep on this also. You've been sworn in, so you can go ahead and answer any questions that we may have, or give us your presentation.
Yes. Mr. Peters once again did a great job summarizing this project. This update is purely for wayfinding purposes. What Myers has found is that customers get frustrated, and this was very similar to my Kroger justification, is that you have someone coming in, they need to get something from the grocery department, but they end up on the home side. Now you've got to walk across the store. And I'm sure many of you have done that. I know I have, and it's frustrating. And so this helps reduce that frustration, helps wayfinding, which ultimately we believe leads to a safer parking lot, people not trying to figure out where they're going. It's easier for them. And to address any concerns of illumination, I think that Mr. Peter addressed that correctly. I don't think we are confident that it will not affect any residential homes.
Question for myself, and then we'll turn it over to the commission. First of all, the home and fresh, are they really that way, a left and a right? Because the Meijer store is the opposite.
I will be honest, I have never stepped foot onto the Stone Creek property. That is the drawings I have. I can absolutely confirm that.
Because the grocery store would be on the left-hand side going
I'm sorry,
in.
I based it on this map below that was in the packet. It could be the other way. You're right. The grocery store is on the left. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I just want to clarify.
I'm also not aware if the store is going to go under any remodel internally. That would be outside of my scope.
Sure. So I think that's probably just an error in terms of the presentation. Secondly, the second question is the 24-hour issue. Since you haven't stepped on it, step on the site, do you know, is there 24-hour signage?
I reached out to the project manager on this on my way here, and she said that she does not believe that there's any intention for them to go back to 24 hours, and that she has reached out to Meijer to let them know we were going to have to remove that in order to get approval.
Yeah, okay. So if there is 24 hours, would that be part of the signage? Is it part of the pylon sign? Do you have any knowledge from the project manager of what it is in terms of the actual signage?
Do you mean what it's made out of?
Yes. I mean, is it on the building? Is it on the ground sign?
It's on the ground signs. I don't believe it's on any of the wall signs. It's just a vinyl that could be covered up with a red vinyl, or more likely just replace the entire panel.
So I think we do have in the drawings, it certainly says it on, I think it's the ground signs, and the pylon sign has the 24 hours under the E and the R of Meijer at the end of the word Meijer. So it does indeed show, at least your drawings show a 24-hour banner on there. Okay, well, I think that clarifies that issue.
Yes, and I would be more than happy to get that approval from Meyer to get that taken down as a condition.
Okay, so any questions of the commission of either Mr. Peters or the sign professional?
The 24 hours of replacement rather than a red line?
Yeah, I don't exactly know what the method we would take to do that. I think that would ultimately be Meyer's decision. From a professional standpoint, I would probably recommend to Meyer to just replace the whole panel, but obviously that is going to be their decision, but we will make sure that gets taken care of.
Okay. We have any other questions? Thoughts? Okay, well, we have in our packets a recommendation from Mr. Peters, and I guess I have a little bit of concern on the covering the 24 hours with paint or tape or similar method. I think given Meyer's request to increase the signage as significantly as they have in this request, they certainly can modify and give us new panels that remove the 24 hours. So I would like to see that in the recommendation, and if you'd like, I'll be glad to make that motion. But before we do that, and I keep doing it, we should close the public hearing.
I was just thinking it.
Ms. Goggle? Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall? Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes, so I apologize again. Maybe I'll get this, but
You're doing great.
temporary gig, right? So with that, does anyone make a motion, given what I just said, or would you like me to make it? I will make a motion then that we approve the signage modifications as submitted today for CZC 24-8, which is the Myers at Stone Creek Town Center, with the caveat and the provision that the issue of the 24 hours, that is on the looks like the pylon sign and possibly the ground sign, as part of that logo, that 24 hours be actually removed via a whole new face, not painted, not taped. And I think that's it.
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions of the motion? Seeing nothing, roll call, please.
Ms. Goggle? Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
We'll be in touch.
I did just get word from Meyer that they are totally cool with that condition.
Perfect.
I got one
Thank you. Congratulations.
Correction. Okay. All right, so I think that finishes our public hearings. Did you want to go now in the
Yeah,
public
I
hearing?
got
session?
one correction on the motion that I made for the Kroger Marketplace sign. I stated CZC 14.7, and it should be CZC 24.9.
Technically, it's a minor modification of 14.7. So we have a case number of this specific modification, but it all goes back to what I call the grandfather case, which is 14.7. So it's technically correct.
Okay.
But I appreciate the clarification.
Okay, so that's item 7 is completed. Let's move on to item 8, which is our informal concept review, of which we have none. Number 9 is our old business, which I see we also have none. New business, also none. Item 11 is our administration, which there's no comments from our administration. Announcements is number 12. I see nothing in our agenda for that. And our next meeting, and we will not have a meeting in November. It looks like it will, the last meeting of the year will be December 17th, 2024.
Potentially. We have no cases yet.
All right. And that, we are ready for adjournment. Any other questions or comments of the commission before we adjourn? Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.